Today let's talk about number worded problems. Now before we get into it, we're going to follow four basic rules here when we solve all these word problems. One is we're going to declare a variable. So we're going to go through and talk about and actually define what our variable talks about. If we're going to use the letter x, I'm going to know what does x mean. Next, we're going to write out an equation for every one. Third, we're going to solve. And then last, we're going to write a sentence to describe what our answer is. So let's take a look at this first example. It says, find a number which is bigger than its opposite. So what are we talking about? Well, we're talking about a number. So I'm just going to use a variable. Let's call it x. I'm going to just write a number. Okay, it can be as simple as that. Next, let's talk about writing the equation. So it says a number is 14 bigger than its opposite. So we're just going to translate. A number, well that's x, is means equals 14 bigger than, so 14 plus its opposite. So the number's opposite. So the number is x, its opposite is negative x. Okay, so I'll solve. I'm just going to add my x to the other side. 2x is 14 divided by 2. X is 7. Okay, now what does that mean? So I'm going to finish it up by actually making sense of it. And I'm just going to say something as simple in this case as the number is 7. And there you go. Okay, so hopefully it makes sense. Let's try another one. Next one says, find a number whose product with 4 is the same as its sum with 18. So again, let's just start with declaring a variable. So I'm just going to say x. And again, this time it's a number. Now it'll be different. It's not always going to be a number, but for now, these have been. So it says a number whose product with 4, so product means multiply, so it'll be 4x, is the same as its sum with 18. So the number's sum, which is plus 18. And there's my equation. Subtract x. 3x equals 18. Divide by 3. X equals 6. So the number is 6. Okay, fairly straightforward. The big key is being able to translate, being able to read this English sentence and translate it into mathematical terminology. Okay, so let's read the next one here. It says John has $12 more than Brett. Together, they have $124. How much money does John have? So the question is, what are we talking about? Well, we're talking about John and Brett. Now we're going to go and we want to use just one variable. So instead of saying J is John and B is Brett or something like that, what we're going to do is we're going to try and use one variable to describe both of them. And you need to start with one of them. Do you want to use a variable for John or Brett? So the general rule is this. You are going to use the variable for the thing or person you know nothing about. So when you read this, it says John has $12 more than Brett. Which one is being described and which one do we not know anything about? Well, they're describing John. John has. But we don't know anything about Brett. Okay, so we're going to use the variable B. And we'll just call this Brett's money. Okay, so if B is Brett's money, then what is John's money? Well, it says John has 12 more than Brett. Well, if Brett is B, that means John must be B plus 12. That's John's money. Okay, so John has 12 more than Brett. Brett's B, therefore John has to be 12 plus B. So over here, this is telling me my equation. It says together, that's B plus 12. So this is Brett and this is John. They have $124. So I'm going to solve 2b plus 12 equals 124. Subtract 12. 2b equals 112. Divide by 2. B is, let's see, that's 5, 6. Okay, so B is 56. Now, what does that mean? Well, that means that's how much Brett has. But the question is, how much money does John have? So if Brett is 56, John's $12 more, so 68. So I will say John has $68. Okay, so you can see the importance of writing that equation or that sentence, even though it's really simple. Okay, leaving b equals 56, that's not answering the question. The question is, what does John have? Okay, let's try another one. Okay, it says Jamal bought a burger and fries for $5.40. How much did each burger cost if the burger cost twice as much as the fries? Okay, so I know we're talking about Jamal here, but in reality, what are we looking for? It says the cost if the burger costs twice as much as the fries. So we're talking about burgers and fries. So out of those two, which do we not know anything about? Well, they're not saying anything really about the fries, so I'm going to say my fries, I'm going to call that F. So then how would you describe the burger? Well, it says the burger costs twice as much as the fries. So if the fries are F, the burger is 2F. Okay, so it says Jamal bought a burger and fries for $5.40. So that means F plus 2F has to equal 5.40. So that means 3F equals 5.40. Divide by 3. F equals, let's see if I can do this in my head. Let's see, it's $1.80. So 180. So it says, how much did each cost? Well, the fries is $1.80. Burger is going to be 2 times $1.80. Okay, also known as 360. So the fries cost $1.80 and the burger $3.60. There you go. Okay, we got one more to try. This would be a great one for you to try on your own. You know, you ought to hit pause, give it a shot, and see if you come up with the same answer. Okay, so number 5 says, Fran decided to go for a run. Turns out she's in worse shape than she thought. Fran's workout lasted 90 minutes, but she walked 3 times as long as she ran. How long did Fran actually run? Alright, so that's a lot of stuff in there. So you got to kind of decipher what you're talking about here. Well, we're talking about Fran's workout, but she walked and she ran. So we're looking for those things. So let's talk about those two. Alright, so we have walking and running. So out of those two, which do we not know anything about? Well, it looks like here it says she walked 3 times as long as she ran. So we don't really know anything about her running. So we're going to talk about her run being R and her walking being 3R because it says 3 times as long. Okay, now Fran's workout lasted 90 minutes. So it's saying that she walked and she ran and it ended up taking 90 minutes. Okay, simplify. We got 4R equals 90. Divide by 4. R equals, okay, if you divide 40, or probably 90 by 45, that's 22.5. Okay, so now remember, R stands for how long it took for her to run. So she went for 22.5 minutes. Okay, and that's what it's saying. How long did Fran run? Well, Fran ran 22.5 minutes. And if you're asked, you know, how long did it take for her to walk, or how long did she walk? Well, you would just take your 22.5, and multiply by 3, and that would come up with the walk. And there you go. There are number worded problems.